Hunting the Shadows.
Hello. Had a little technical difficulty there for a moment. Well, come on in, kind people. This is Dennis Carroll, your host of another edition of Hunting the Shadows. Okay, hello, Midwest Night Watchers, Aussie Sue, Melissa. Glad to have you, Shiro, Marie. All right, we're racking them up here. Alan, there's Alan. All right, got Nighthawk. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting night. Our topic tonight is the real ghost hunters. Okay, we're gonna be getting into that a little bit deep here. Okay, over the years, I've done a lot of spiritual research, and I've had a lot of teams, different teams, been on different teams, mentored a lot of teams. That's what we're going to talk about a little bit tonight, and some of the ramifications of all that stuff and what you may really encounter and some things like that with the typical ghost hunting, as they call it. I don't like that term my own self. I never use it. I call it spiritual research because that is what you're dealing with. Spiritual matters, definitely. But that title, Ghost Hunter, has been done to death, definitely. But we're going to get deep into that now. I got a few announcements to make, though, first. Yep. Hello, Jonathan. We got a few announcements. Due to Halloween, we got set back with the production a little bit on the Midnight Road excursions into the unknown. So hopefully, very soon we get rolling back with that again and get it out here. I'm anxious to get it started, definitely. And also this week, Friday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, it will be another edition of Paranormal Point of View. Okay, and if everything goes as planned, we're going to have a very special guest, my good friend Bigfoot Michigan Rob is going to come on. We're going to talk about his new book. It is a fascinating book, folks. There's some really wild stuff in this book, so we're definitely going to get into that, so you don't want to miss it. And if you don't have this book, you need to get a copy of it because you'll love it. Over the years, I've poured over thousands and thousands of eyewitness sightings, case histories, and stuff like that. It never told to me because it's so interesting to see and experience these things through other people's eyes. So it's a fascinating thing whenever you have that in a book, definitely. We're going to be talking about that. So that's Paranormal Point of View this Friday night at 8 o'clock p.m. You don't want to miss it, okay? That's 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And hello, Jonathan. Good to have you on board, sir. Definitely. And we have Melissa. Hello, Melissa. And we're getting them ranked up here. So we're going to talk. We're going to start getting in discussion on this a little bit and deeper into it. And I'm going to be listening for your feedback and any questions you have on this. Definitely speak up. Like I said before, this is your podcast too, okay? So you got that incentive to do it, okay? Definitely. You got a voice here. Hey, Scott, how you doing? And I like that title, Scott's Life. That's getting down to basics there, definitely. Okay. So anyway, the interesting thing about ghost hunting or spiritual research is you got to remember something very, very important to all this. Okay, most of the time, and I know there'll be some disagreement with what I'm about to say here. I'm going to step on some toes. You might get some people riled up here. But most of the time, the spirits that you are encountering are diabolical spirits masquerading as human spirits. We've got to get that out of the way first, so don't forget that. It's very important that you remember that. And I have had people over the years, several times, tell me that, oh, I do not believe in diabolical spirits. I don't believe there's any such thing as a demon, or whatever name you want to give them, whatever title. They're evil spirits. That's what they basically are. But I've had people say, I don't believe in that. But I say, well, they believe in you, okay? And you may open yourself up to a whole world of trouble if you're not careful what you're doing, you know. And some of these so-called teams out there utilize a lot of Ouija board stuff and all that. That's not good either, okay? And we're gonna get deeper into our discussion on that tonight, definitely. And you know, you got to remember something about spiritual research. It is a science, a new science. It's the birth of a science. It's not really a true science yet. It's a quasi-semi type of science. It's not really recognized as a science. Maybe one day it may be, because the spiritual aspects of this universe are very important. They're all around us. Just because we can't see them, science doesn't want to believe in it because they can't put it in a lab or experiment with it, or they don't think they can. I think it has been done. Well, we won't get into that tonight, but definitely there's some different and interesting ramifications of all this stuff. But you got to remember, if you don't believe in the demonic or the diabolical things, you're probably opening yourself up to a world of hurt. Okay, so keep that in mind when you go out. If there's any potential investigators listening, I did call it investigative research, because that's basically what it is. Whether you do it sitting in your living room or at your computer, or whether you're out in the field, boots on the ground thing. And I'm going to also be talking about cryptid research here tonight. Okay, I'm not going to leave them out. But whenever that's on the ground, whether you're doing whatever it is, it's still investigative research. They both go together, okay? You can still do research, but you can't research without truly investigating. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way that goes. So we got to bear that in mind, definitely. Anyway, moving along. The interesting thing about all of this is that many times, and I think I have actually seen what I would call human spirits But I believe what basically most people see in that category are what we term as residual hauntings. In other words, I think more or less than it being an actual presence of a spirit, this is sort of like a spiritual memory type thing going on here. It's like a time sequence thing. You're actually looking back through time and you're seeing something that happened, and it was so traumatic or whatever. It may be imprinted on that location. Okay, that's very interesting to think about, and that's a whole different field of spiritual research there. Okay, but there are so many different smaller subfields in this category that it is amazing to think about. But I want to brush that off a little bit and get into the actual intent of some of these people with some of this stuff. Okay, and I'm not going to leave out the cryptid people on this either, because I've been involved in a lot of cryptid research over the years, without doubt. UFOlogy, Earth mysteries, you name it. That's what I've always wanted to go into. And the whole thing about it is, some of these people. Hey, David. Some of these people are in it for all the wrong reasons, okay? And we've got to look at that for a few minutes here at the beginning of this. They're in it for all the wrong reasons. They're in it for fame and glory and money, mostly. Prestige and celebrity. That's what it's all about to them, okay? They're not, and when you do that, when you sell yourself out to that, folks, you're not in this for the right reasons. Okay, you're not definitely in this for the right reasons. And I've told a lot of my team members on the night of investigations, when you go in there to investigate, hang your ego up out here somewhere. Leave it behind. Don't have your ego in the way of everything. It's gonna mess it up for you. It's gonna mess it up for all of us. And people tend to let the ego get in the way of this stuff. Okay, especially if they think they're going to become some kind of a celebrity out of it. They're going to get a TV show or a podcast out of it, or whatever it is they're doing it for, whatever their intentions. Your intentions have to be good, okay? If you expect to get any kind of a good feedback out of it, your intentions have to be good. If you're going into it for all the wrong, bad reasons, it's not going to work out that way. And let me say this at the beginning: the way I've always, this is just my own personal opinion, okay? The way I've always looked upon this stuff is I went in to, if it was a personal thing, a historical site. You investigate historical sites completely different than what you do with a personal, somebody's house or personal case. If it's a personal thing, my number one priority was the client and their well-being and helping them out. Hello, Anita. Good to have you here. Helping them out with their problem or their situation. Okay, that's the number one thing going on here, folks. It's not about your celebrity. It's not about how much money you're going to make or how kind of a big ego stroke you're going to have or whatever. It's not about that. It's about helping people, and it's also about, like I said earlier, furthering this new science, learning information, getting knowledge, sharing it with other people. Some people get their evidence. Oh, it's my evidence. I've got it right here. I'm not going to let anybody have it. I'm not going to let anybody see it. That's not wrong. That's the bad attitude. Let's not do that. That's not helping anybody. Hey, Millie, it's not helping anybody, okay? It's only hurting everything. That's the wrong way to go about this. We should be here to share knowledge. I feel that it is almost a sin in my book to have knowledge and not share it with others. That's just very selfish and self-centered, and I don't want to go down that route. And I know a lot of people that don't want to, but some people do, unfortunately. Okay, that's just the way that goes. But here's the number one rule: is you got to remember, when it comes to spiritual research or cryptid research, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Okay, I mean, you gotta have both. You can't have one without the other, definitely, or you shouldn't have, because if you don't, then you're back on square one. Okay, so you gotta remember that. It's very important. And here's my number one rule before I went in. I don't care if it's cryptid or whatever I'm investigating. Okay, here's my number one rule: you must first prove what it isn't before you can prove what it is. You got to go in with a critical eye, okay, and really examine what it is you need to be you're looking at with a kind of, I don't say overly, don't get overly critical about it. That's not wrong. You got to get on that fine line, okay? But you got to have a critical eye, and you got to watch out. You got to prove first what it is not before you can prove what it is, okay? That's just the way you eliminate these things. And you always remember what Sherlock Holmes said. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, must be the truth. So that's the route you got to go. Okay, you got to, and you can't just go in and say, "Oh, I feel like this is it, or it's this. I think it's this." You got to have something to back that up with. You got to. That's what investigation is all about. Okay, investigative research is definitely about that. That's what it is, and you got to find out exactly what it is that you're looking for, and what it is that you're experiencing. But like I said earlier, it's not going to be Uncle Bill and Aunt Lucy talking to you most of the time, okay? I want you to get that in mind right now. It's probably going to be a diabolical spirit masquerading as Uncle Bill or Aunt Lucy, trying to fool you, trying to pull the spiritual wool over your eyes. So don't let them do that to you, okay? Be very, very careful. That's why in this thing, you definitely have to know what spirits you're dealing with. That's why you need to test these. It's not about establishing communication. It's testing it to see what it is and what you're truly dealing with and why it's there, And that's very true, Jonathan. Do you think you can stop evil courses by asking you? Definitely. I've had some situations where that name played a big part in taking care of some business, okay? Definitely. The blood of Jesus is very strong on these things, okay? But I'm not going to get into that tonight. That's another aspect of it, definitely. But let me say this, okay? You don't want to establish a rapport with whatever spirit it may be, because once you establish that connection, bad things can come from it, okay? You've got to be very careful. And, if you want to talk about the Bible, Jonathan, definitely the Bible says for you absolutely not to have a concourse with spirits, okay? In other words, not to communicate with them, not to hang out with them, and not because most of the time these spirits you're dealing with, and the Bible does plainly tell you when you die, most of the time you're going to go somewhere else. You're not going to hang around here. But there are certain instances, and I won't get into that tonight, that I think that has kind of a murky water thing to it. But anyway, most of the time you're dealing with these diabolical spirits. And I've had a lot of people come to me and say, "Oh, I'm going to go to the graveyard and meet a ghost." Okay, sure, you can try that, but I got news for you. Most of the people lying out there in that graveyard are going on somewhere else. Their ghost is not hanging around that graveyard. But I can tell you this without a doubt, that diabolical spirits hang out in places of the dead. That's their number one place to be. And that's what you're probably encountering in these in morgues or funeral homes or hospitals or whatever the situation, or graveyards or battlefields. You're probably encountering diabolical spirits. They could even masquerade as soldiers and all this stuff. Believe me, it's wild stuff. So you've got to be very, very careful how you handle this. And that's why I'm talking about that tonight. The real ghost hunters are not the guys that you see on TV. Oh, I know they may be doing that, and they may be sincere, some of them. I'm not down on them for that. But whenever Hollywood gets involved, you got to remember 99.9% of Hollywood is not real. Okay, it's made up stuff. Or have you ever noticed on the ghost hunter shows, they hear a sound, "What's that?" And it's commercial. Time for a commercial. That don't happen in real life, folks. Okay, that does not happen that way. And let me say one more thing. Everywhere that you go is not haunted. You're not going to encounter spirits everywhere. Okay, that's a bunch of bull. But according to these Hollywood shows, everywhere they go, oh, there's something there. That's not true. Okay, and believe me, I've had my dealings with Hollywood. They came to me wanting me to have my own show, but I couldn't play their game with them. Okay, because unfortunately, shame on me, I was too honest. Okay, but anyway, That's the way Hollywood goes. Okay, you got to get that out of your mind right now. I don't care if your name starts with a Z and you have a big show and you're famous and you got plenty of money out of it, or you got a group called the Ghost Hunters, or whatever the situation is. You're mostly in it for money, prestige, and celebrity. Okay, that's what they're in it for. That's not the good intentions. Now, I'm talking about the people who sincerely want to go out there and try to understand these forces and try to accumulate knowledge on it and do that. Those are the guys I like. Okay, let me say one more thing about this. Ghost hunting is not, and let me repeat this, it is not a social club for everybody to get together on Saturday night, go somewhere and get scared and laugh and have fun about it and go out and have a few drinks later and talk about it. That's not what it's all about, folks. You're not doing anybody any good doing that but yourself. You're being very self-centered, egotistical about it. Believe me, I'm calling you on it now. And that goes with cryptid crews too. I'm not leaving them out. There's some of them out there like that. They're not serious about research. They're just a bunch of social groups. They want to meet every now and then and have fun and drink and all that. Okay, there's a place for that. Okay, if you want to have a meeting, do that, but don't interfere with other people who sincerely are out there with boots on the ground, actually trying to do true investigative research. Okay, you're not helping that way. You're not helping. You're hindering this field. Okay, without doubt. So I was going to get that. I won't get too down on you tonight, but that's true. You know. And he got that museum with all kinds of so-called haunted objects. Yeah. Well, that's okay if you want to collect them, Monica. I mean, I guess so. That's okay. It each his own. But you got to look at their true motives behind it, what their real intentions are. It's all about the money. Hey, Cryptid Paranormal Kingdom, my brother Carlito is in the house. Good to have you, sir. You got to remember, it's all about the money with these guys, okay? That's what it's all about, the money, the prestige, and the celebrity, because they can make money off of that celebrity thing, okay? And they make book deals and TV show deals and all that. It's all about the money. And, my grandfather once told me many, many years ago, Dennis, be suspicious of anything, whatever it may be, anything having to do with money, okay? Because people will do anything to get it, definitely. Yep, absolutely. Hospitals are very spooky. I found that out in intensive care. Actually, Marshall, I used to work in a hospital, and I had some very interesting paranormal experiences. I may talk about those later on here in the program tonight before we get to it. But anyway, I just wanted to touch on that, okay? This is not about socializing, folks. It's not about taking pictures of yourself and your selfies on your phone and putting it on Facebook all the time and showing, hey, and smiling and showing how pretty you look and all. It's not what it's all about. That's the ego stuff there, folks. We don't need that in this field. We do not need ego stuff like that, okay? That's not helping anything, okay? Or you might, and I'll say this about some of the cryptid people. You want to have a picture of yourself with a big knife out in the woods somewhere, on Facebook, showing you look like a big macho guy looking for Bigfoot or Dogman. That's not what this is all about, folks, okay? That's just not the right reasons, and that's why I get down on people that do that. I know where they're coming from, and it's not a good place, all right? I just want to say that, and I'm not getting on anybody's case, but there's a time and a place for everything. And I'm not going to stop in the middle of an investigation and do a selfie of me and everybody around me so I can put it on Facebook or Instagram, okay? That's just not what this is all about, definitely. Hello, Crystal. Good to have you here, dear. And so I might be stepping on a few toes tonight, but I'm sorry your feet are in the way. Okay. But anyway, that just not sit good with me. I'm not going to deal with people like that. If I were to go on a hunt or a cryptid investigation and people start doing that kind of stuff, hey, I'm leaving. Okay, that's it, because that's just not what this is about. That's not true investigative research. Okay, whichever way you want to look at it. Yeah, hospitals are haunted, Melissa. There are a lot of deaths in hospitals, a lot of trauma, a lot of pain, a lot of psychic and spiritual pain. I've often said that, and listen to this statement, some of the most heartfelt prayers ever given were not given in church. They were given in doctors' offices and hospitals. Okay, think about that. So they are definitely places of true hauntings. And I've encountered a few when I worked at I worked at the hospital for about 30 years. And believe me, there was some very strange incidents from time to time. I'll talk about them here in a few minutes. A couple of them. You might have heard them before. I'm getting old. If I repeat myself, just ignore me, okay? So anyway, the whole thing is, um, there's a right way and a wrong way to do everything, okay? And let's do it the right way, folks, okay? It takes a lot less time like that, okay? And everything goes smoother. And we've got to start checking that ego, okay? Because that ego will trip you up every time, okay? So let's keep that in mind. So your intentions, especially if you have a client that's depending on you to help them with some type of a problem. Hey, Roger, is you definitely don't want to let them down, and my clients were number one. I was looking out for them. I looked out for them more than I looked out for myself sometimes. That's just the way you look at it, and their confidentiality is supreme with me. Number one thing, I never would compromise that in any way. That's just the way I looked at these things, and that's the way I carried it through. And I don't think I ever had anyone disappointed with me in that respect. Because we tried our best to do what we could to help them, and if I couldn't help them, I definitely wanted to find somebody for them that could help them. You don't want to leave people hanging by a thread, twisting slowly in the wind out there. You don't want to do that. That's not a good thing. And I never did that. I never wanted to be in that situation, without a doubt. So that's it's got to be where your heart is, where your true intentions are. Okay, just like anything else in this world, you got to take it the right way, or you're going to do it the wrong way. And I don't see using Ouija boards and maybe crystals and stuff. Sometimes I don't know. I just I don't see doing that. I never did that. That's not my cup of tea. Okay, I'm not trying to be judgmental on anybody. I'm not. I'm nobody's judge. Okay, but that's just not the way I do it. All right. That's just not the way I handle things in that respect. And here's another thing about cryptozoology, cryptid hunting. Okay. You need to know what you're looking for. You need to know what you're looking for, and you definitely need to know how to go about it. Okay. And you need to study tracks. You need to do. There's a whole lot of things you need to get into in this study, and you need to go with a real group of real investigators, or you'll never learn the correct way to do it. Okay, that's just something I want to throw out there for you. If you're interested in doing it, you got to get with people that know what they're doing, and they're very sincere and honest about it. And like I say, they don't let the ego get in the way, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what you gotta. That's what you got to look at. Okay. So anyway, that's my spin on it. Okay, that's my spin. That's the real ghost hunters are not like that. The real ones take it in a completely different direction. All right, and I don't know about you, but if I have a problem like that, if I have a problem like that, I want somebody that seriously knows how to take care of the problem. Don't you? Oh yeah. Monica, do you think these dogman cryptids are real or made up? I think there's more to it. I don't think it's made up because you hear too many reports and too many things on this. I just wonder how many times some of this is misidentification. Okay, let me say this: I've seen every wildlife thing out there, except I haven't been to Africa. Okay, I haven't checked out Africa yet, but I've seen all the wildlife in my vicinity, in my region. And I could see where if you ran into a skinny, mangy bear at night in the shadows, with the dim light or whatever, could look like a dog man. Okay, let's not forget about that a minute. Okay, that's a possibility. Your eyes can deceive you sometimes. It could look like the silhouette of a dog man. I've seen bears that do that, and I've seen bears walk like people for a long distance. Okay, so that would be another way you could be fooled into thinking maybe that is a dog man you're seeing. And another aspect of this is that the dog man could possibly be a mistaken identity with a werewolf. Okay, I do know werewolves are real. Okay, I'm gonna say this to you tonight, and then you say, "Oh, Dennis, you're off your rocker." There are such things as werewolves and vampires, but they're not the way Hollywood depicts them or the way you think they are. They are diabolical spirits, spiritual creatures. Okay, don't forget that. And that may be what the dog man is. There may be some kind of diabolical connection with it because I've heard a lot of case histories of the red eyes. You know, the red eyes are usually a dead giveaway that you're dealing with something demonic, you know, without a doubt. So there may be a connection in that respect with it. I can tell you this without a doubt. Knowing how demons work, it would not surprise me that demons would not use the image of dog man or even possess something like that. That's not that far fetched. So there's a lot of different avenues when it comes to dog man. I've done a lot of research on dog man, though I've never actually personally seen one. I think I came very close to meeting one day. I'll tell you a quick story on that. Um, Let me get your thing up here, Monica, and I'll address that in just a moment. I was out hunting, deer hunting with my brother, and we split up. And he told me, he said, "Now back over there on that field is an old deserted farmhouse, you know." I said, "Well, I'll check it out, you know, because I've always been interested in architecture. Okay, I love houses, buildings, and stuff like that, and how they're put together. I should have been in another life. I should have been an architect. Okay, but anyway, I said, well, I'll check it out, you know." So sure enough, he went on and did what he was doing, and I had a 12 gauge pump with me, and I had my 9 millimeter sidearm. And so I walked up to this house, and I said, well, I was kind of, you know, skittish about it because, hey, you know, it could be a hangout for a bunch of drunks or dope addicts in there. You never know what you're going to run into. So I was very careful. I said, I'm going to go in here and look around, you know, because all the windows and doors were out of this house. There was nothing. And I think once upon a time they had used this house as a storage shed for like bales of hay or whatever, something like that. So I went in there. I was looking around. I just thought about, you know, how many of the people that lived here all these years ago and how things, you know, I was sort of thinking about that. And I came to one room in the back. And here's the weirdest thing. I never encountered anything like it before or since. This whole room was filled to top to the ceiling almost with brush, broken branches and all that was jammed into this room, and it looked very much like a nest kind of thing, you know. And about the time I walked in the room, something hit the back window and went out of this room and went out the back. I couldn't see it. I could hear it, but just a glance at it, I couldn't see it through the brush, you know. So I ran around out to the front of the house to see what it was, you know. I said, what the heck is this, you know? And I saw something like a large dark shadow disappearing into the tree line. The tree line was this house was sitting at the edge of a field, very close to the tree line. So it went into the tree line, but I didn't. I went on a little ways in the tree line after, but it was gone. But when I started to the tree line, I noticed these prints on the ground. There was a line of prints, and they looked kind of like large wolf prints. But they still didn't look quite right, because I know what a wolf print looks like. I studied all the prints of wildlife so that you can track it. You know, you can understand what it is you're looking at, how it does when it runs or stands still or walks or steps in its own tracks or whatever the situation. These were very weird looking tracks. I've never seen anything quite like it. They kind of reminded you of wolf tracks, but yet they weren't like that. So anyway, I came back. I said, I'm going to go back and look at these tracks. When I left the trees and went back in the field, I could never find those tracks again. They were just gone. I don't know. It was very strange. But I have to wonder if that was like a dog man or something. I don't know. Maybe he had a nest in that house or some kind of a den, whatever the case. But it says, what's the difference between a werewolf and skinwalker? Well, not a whole lot, okay? They're just from different areas of the world. The skinwalker is, of course, from the Southwest, usually, the Native American culture. And the werewolf is from the European cultures. They go about the same thing, but just slightly different ways, of course. You're talking about different types of magic here that are used or done, rituals and ceremonies that are done in order to transmutate themselves into whatever it is they want to change into. Usually, the werewolf changes from man to wolf. And the skinwalker can take on the wolf, or it can do the coyote and other animals, supposedly, or it can look like a combination of a man and an animal. Okay, it can be some weird stuff with skinwalkers. They're weirder than the actual werewolf, because your werewolf looks, like. But let me say this about the werewolf and the dog man, okay? And I've said this before, I say it again. The werewolf will not cut you a break. Dogman might, there's been a lot of reports of Dogman leaving you alone and maybe going his way and not bothering you, which is good. But the werewolf would not do that. The werewolf is a psychotic killer. Like a shark, it will just tear you to pieces. It's not going to cut you a break. It's not going to let you go. And I don't think you're going to be able to run from it, okay, unless you can jump in a semi, Hemiacuda or something and get out of there. You'd be very lucky to escape a werewolf, put it that way, okay? The dog man, on the other hand, might cut you that break. It might let you get by with it. Of course, there's some people in the LBJL that says that a different thing, that the land between the lakes, dog man is supposed to be very violent and a very evil, dangerous type creature. And here's another interesting thing about Dogman. Why do they hang out around graveyards? Could there be some kind of diabolical connection going on here with that as well? So you got to wonder, Yeah, Dogman can bluff charge, Monica, definitely. And I think it is a bluff just to scare you off, get you to leave him alone. Well, let me say this, okay, about the big difference between the werewolf and the Dogman. And I'm not going to get into that too deep tonight. But the big difference is, a werewolf is a man sometimes, okay? It could be your next door neighbor, your Sunday school teacher, and you never know it until you ran into him late one night all alone while they were changed into a wolf. But the dog man is dog man 24/7. He doesn't change, okay? But now there is one type of werewolf. Let me say this, and I'm gonna have to do a werewolf Wednesday one night, okay? We're gonna have to get deeper into this werewolf thing, okay? Because it has a lot of different ramifications. There is one type of werewolf supposedly that once you change in the werewolf, you can't change back. You never go back to human again. But the big difference between the werewolf and the dog man is the werewolf has the mind of a human. That therefore makes it a whole lot more dangerous adversary to come up against. And here's one more thing you got to think about when it comes to the werewolf. He is a supernatural creature in that state when he's a werewolf, and he's not. Now, you got in mind the Hollywood thing. He's walking around on two legs. He's like a Lon Chaney Jr. in the Wolfman. That's a wolfman, not a werewolf. There's a difference. Okay, a true werewolf runs on four legs. Looks like a big dire wolf. Okay, that's what that's the werewolf. That's the classic werewolf. It runs on four legs. It looks like a big, mean, ugly, killing wolf. Okay, that's what it looks like. Where do you think these dog men come from? I don't know. That's another interesting question. A lot of people are like, are they from another dimension? Are they like Bigfoot? Are they a part of our unknown part of our nature, our natural world? We don't know. There's a lot of questions with Dogman, especially. I think I said this before, I can see Bigfoot being part of our natural world in some way, okay? I just don't know where the heck Dogman comes from on that, because it just does not look like something that's part of our natural world. Could be somebody else's world, for all we know. Hey, Palin, good to have you here. So anyway, that's my take on Ghost Hunters tonight. Okay, I just wanted to get that out there, and with the Cryptid Hunters, definitely, let's do this the right way, not go about the wrong way. Let's put our ego away, put it in a box somewhere, and leave it there. It's where it needs to be. I'm not here to be a millionaire or a big celebrity, make tons of money. If it is, boy, am I in the wrong place. I'm not here for that. I don't want my intentions to be bad in that respect. It's not all about ego. You're not going to see this boy standing out in the middle of the case, taking selfies of myself, putting it on Facebook and saying, oh, look how handsome I am. Okay, I'm not going to be doing that, okay? And you gotta question yourself, what are you in it for, the right reasons or wrong reasons? And here's one more thing about Facebook, okay? I'm not that big of a fan of Facebook and Instagram either, for that matter. None of these social things. I'm not that big of a fan of them because most of the people see it only as an ego stroking thing, okay? And I don't care how pretty you are. We don't need to see a new picture of you every day on Facebook, okay? I mean, let's look at the big picture here, okay? What are you on there to touch bases and communicate with people and maybe show some of your talent? Or are you on there to just stroke your ego and hope somebody's going to say, "Oh, how beautiful you are," you know? We gotta question ourselves all the time. We must question, as my friend Nighthawk says, question everything. But we should question ourselves a lot too. Why are we? What are our true motivations and our intentions on this stuff? You know, yeah, they're all of the fallen. A lot of this stuff may be definitely, Jonathan. That a lot of this stuff have a diabolical connection. We'll have to talk about that definitely one night. Hey, Tess. Um, Definitely there's some bad juju going on here. Okay, definitely on some of this stuff. But anyway, I do know without a doubt Bigfoot exists because I have seen him. Okay, I've seen him just as plain as day. I mean, I was not hallucinating. I was not drunk or on drugs. I do not have a mental illness. I saw him just as sure as I see the sun in the sky. He was that. I know without a doubt. For me, the question is over. I know he exists. Okay, I don't have any doubt about it. I've seen the evidence of my own eyes. Um, that's enough for me. I'm not going out trying to convince people, "Hey, you need to believe this," you know. And here's another thing about investigative research: your job is not to convince people of anything. Oh, you need to see this picture. You need to believe this. You need to see this. This happened. This and that's a waste of time. No matter how good of evidence you are, they're not usually going to believe you. That's not what this is all about. We're not here to convince anybody. If you want to put your evidence out there, that's fine, and let people look at it and examine it. But you're not trying to push it down their throat and get them to believe it, because that's up to them whether they want to believe your research or not. And if you have good research, maybe they will believe it. Okay, or maybe say, "Hey, you got something going here." But that's not what your job is. Your job is not to convince anybody of anything. You're not here to sell cars, okay? You're not here to sell yourself. Don't be trying to sell yourself and your ideas on it. Don't push it on people. They don't like that. Let people make up their own mind, okay? I want to make up my own mind, okay? I don't want anybody trying to force me into that, and I want people to be that way too, the other way, definitely. Jonathan, they're trying to get, they are over there. Pappy say, no, definitely a lot of that stuff is, Jonathan. We'll talk about that one night. Did you see Sasquatch more than once? I have actually caught a glimpse of him since then, but not a good sighting like I had of him the first time, which I saw him through a night vision scope. Um, the first time I saw him, the whole side of him going behind a tree. Okay. Um, the weird thing about it was he just completely disappeared. I cannot figure out how that dude got away from me that quick, because I was very close to him. If I could have hit him probably with a stick, I was that close to him. Okay, but I don't know where he went, whether it was transdimensional or what. You got me. I don't know. The jury's still out on that. But it was a very, very valid sighting. I mean, I can tell you without a doubt there is a Bigfoot out there, more than one, I'm sure. And I believe what the Native American people believe, and I have studied their folklore for many, many years. I've studied the folklore of the world. I'm big on folklore, and it is all over the world, not just in one region. Okay, it has many different names in many different parts of the world. I believe they are there, and they're sort of like another people. Okay, in that respect, although they're not what we would term civilized. I believe they are sort of another people. I'm not going to say a tribe of humans. I think this is something different altogether, and they could be the result of the Nephilim. We'll have to talk about that one night. I keep going back thinking about Esau in the Bible. You remember Esau and Jacob were fraternal twins. They were born, but Esau was born a few minutes before Jacob. Well, Esau was born with red hair all over his body. And so that's a very interesting aspect of this. Maybe that was the beginning of these hairy people. You never know. There are a lot of clues out there in folklore, and that's why we must not disregard folklore. It's very yes, I love Crystal. I love studying Native American folklore. It's some of the best folklore in the world, by the way. I like it. Um, and said Monica says her dad was Native American. Oh, that's good. Anyway, he got something to be proud of. Anyway, folklore gives us a lot of the clues we need to go on. Here's my favorite quote. Okay, every myth and legend known to mankind is not without its authentic foundation. Don't forget that. It's very important. Say it again. Every myth and legend known to mankind is not without its authentic foundation. That means there's some truth in it somewhere. You just got to find it. That's your job as an investigative researcher, to find the truth. Jonathan says, "Don't believe what your heart tells you. God speaks to the heart." I think, Jonathan, we all have been given a moral compass. Some people tend to pour water on it and dampen it, okay, or whatever the case may be. Some people don't want to listen to that moral compass. Hey, Mike, um, but it's there, okay. Our Creator put that in us, and we need to listen to that, pay more attention to it, and all that. And says you did a great job talking to my third grade about it. Oh yeah, I love to connect with kids on that stuff, definitely. Folklore is very interesting, and it is part of us. Folklore is us, and an important part of us. And I was on my friend Jessica's the Cryptid Hunter show today, and we got into the changeling and the fae, the fairies, and all that stuff, the Celtic stuff. And most of their history was never written down; it was passed down orally from generation to generation. And that's a very important folklore is. You would not have a history without folklore. It's your culture. It's something to be proud of, to study and understand, and look for the truth in it, because the truth is definitely out there, and it's in folklore too. Yeah, well, the Watchers, by the way, Jonathan, the Watchers was the original name for angels, by the way. And I will be doing, here's good news for you, nothing barring any problems. I will definitely be having a Christmas show this year on angels. You don't want to miss that, okay? Because angels are a fascinating subject. I'd rather talk about angels anytime than demons. I've had other demons in my time. I like it. I love angel stuff, okay? And I will definitely be doing a Christmas show on nothing but angels. So you might want to get ready for that, definitely. But the Watchers were their first names. They watched everything. That was their job. They were sort of the supervisors of the universe or universes. I think God created more than one universe. Anyway, that was their job. There were probably untold millions of these beings. We don't really know how many angels there truly are. But one angel is strong enough to destroy a planet, a world by itself. They are very incredibly powerful beings. They had to be given this power because they had a very powerful job to do. They were the watchers. They watched and made sure God's creation when it was supposed to do, and supervised it for him. And although God is everywhere, he wanted some supervisors, and I don't blame him. That makes a lot perfectly good sense that you would have supervisors watching your creation for you and make sure that everything is going along fine the way it's supposed to be. But they, the watchers, that was their job. They watched and they learned everything. And these beings are incredibly intelligent. Their IQ goes off the scale, okay? And there's no way your or my puny intellect would ever stand up to theirs. Okay, thank you, Melissa. We'll definitely get that out there with the angels. I love that subject. A lot of good stories with that. But anyway, getting back to the ghost hunter and the spiritual research, I'm going to close with that and say that the interesting thing about research is how serious you want to take it, like how serious you take yourself. And I know you want to have fun and enjoy what you're doing. I'm not trying to push that down on you. I mean, that's fine. Yes, you want to enjoy what you're doing. You want to have fun with it. But there comes a time when you've got to get serious. and take it the correct way. Okay, so let's not ever lose track of that if you decide to go into that. And here's one more thing I want to say about research, investigative research. Always explore every avenue. Don't just go over it superficially. Hit the highlights. Don't do that. You're discrediting yourself, and your reputation is everything, especially in this field of endeavor. Reputation is everything. My father once said, "You can be born in this world with nothing, but you can leave it with one thing, and that's a good name." Your reputation is everything, and it's paramount to what you do. Do not discredit your reputation. Make sure you keep it precious to yourself and not let anybody mess with it or besmirch it. Okay, definitely. And link me here first time. Well, welcome aboard, Sapphire. Good to have you here. Uh, oh, okay. You have the same vest. I love my vest, by the way. I wear it a lot. But anyway, I like your name, Sapphire Elf. That's pretty good. Anyway, that's the way we got to look at investing. Always explore the different avenues, and it will lead you down some very, very interesting avenues if you let it. Okay, but don't be superficial with it, because you're not just by hitting the highlights. You're as the old saying goes, cutting your nose off to spite your face. You're not going to get anywhere. Absolutely. And by the way, Sapphire and all the rest of them joining in, make sure that you go and you hit that subscribe button. It's free. Okay. Make sure you subscribe. You'll always be able to get a notification of when we come on with Hunting the Shadows. And you wanna be in the loop with us, okay? Definitely. So the main thing is hit that subscription button, like and share us out, tell your friends about it, and all. Definitely. And so anyway, that's my little talk on ghost hunting tonight, and some of the things that we. Okay, good, Sapphire. Glad to have you then. And land of Erie. Definitely, I will have to do a show one night on the fairies. Fascinating subject. I love the folklore of the fairies and the Celtic folklore. And if you want to check out my Facebook, I've been putting a series on my Facebook timeline about the Celtics, the different Celtic deities and entities that you may encounter, like the puka and the different ones. You might want to go check it out. Check my Facebook out. But yeah, like and share and subscribe, and make sure you share and tell everybody that we're here. Ireland, Jonathan, is a fascinating place. I love Ireland. I always wanted to go there. I haven't ever had a chance to go there, but I would definitely like to have a nice little cottage by the sea. Would be okay with me, definitely. Well, I might go back and get the Carroll Castle. You never know. I like to move in there. It's supposed to be the most haunted castle in Europe. The Carroll Castle in Ireland. I think it's Birr Castle is the name of it. Very fascinating place. But anyway, I'm glad you did that. Definitely. And I appreciate your, like I said, this is your podcast. And I love your feedback when we get together and we, the Tooth and Donnan, yes, definitely. So we want your feedback, and definitely we want your input. Because like I say, this is your podcast too. It's not just mine, it's yours too. And we are warning the shadows. We're coming for you. Hunting the shadows, okay? And I hope you'll tune in to us next time. And this Friday now, don't forget, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, there's my other podcast, which is called Paranormal Point of View. We're going to be talking about books and stuff. We're going to have a special guest on this Friday night. My good friend, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. He's going to be talking about his new book. It's a great book. I've got it here. I've been reading it. I devoured this book because I love case histories. There is some very freaky dogman stories in this book. You need a copy of this book. It's wild. Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm reading some of your comments. Definitely, the Nephilim and the Fae. By the way, the Fae like to be the actual thing. Fairy. The word fairy actually is shortened because the Fae like to be called the fair folk. So instead of saying the fair folk, they would say the fairy, the fairy. That's how they got started. But they don't look like Tinkerbell, okay? They are definitely not that at all. They're completely a whole world difference here. That's Walt Disney. Forget about that. That's Tinkerbell and Peter Pan. That's not real fairies, okay? They don't have butterfly wings, okay? Hate to break it to you, but they don't. So anyway, um, tune in next time. And Paranormal Point of View is going to be real interesting this Friday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Also, don't forget my other show, Demonology Today. Comes on every Sunday night at 9 o'clock. I'm co-hosted with Grizzly Chris. You can find that on YouTube. You can find this channel. This is called Hunting the Shadows podcast channel on YouTube. Okay, so if you want to recommend it out to anybody, definitely. And by the way, Jonathan, I have done a lot of research on Jack the Ripper. We'll have to talk about that one night too. Some people think he might have been a woman. That's interesting. Anyway, so we will definitely be getting into some in the future, some interesting subjects. Okay, I'm thinking about maybe making next Wednesday night Werewolf Wednesday. Okay, we'll see. But anyway, um, yeah, even the Native Americans have a form of fairies that they believe in. We'll have to get into that definitely one night with the Fae. But I appreciate you all showing up. And I appreciate y'all coming here and your comments and all that, definitely. And until we get together again, have a good. I hope you have a good rest of the week. Hope to see you Friday night, 8 o'clock. And until we meet again, then, friends. Okay, be safe, be aware. Okay, and keep your eye on the shadows. All right. And until next time, embrace the mystery.